Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. We love to do fitness. These are my friends. I have my co-hosts Kat and Amy, and a very special new friend, Fee Saghafi. Fee,
Hey
how are you?
guys, I'm good. We are at Panera right now,
Yeah,
in
you're
between training sessions today.
you're in good company. Matt Chan was in a Starbucks. Matt O'Keefe
There you
always
go.
likes to go to Starbucks. So better connection.
Better connection. Yesterday, I was doing a podcast out of my car, and it did not have the best connection. So hopefully, this is a little bit better today.
Good, good. And so you're drinking coffee?
A little bit of coffee. Not like I rely on it, but sometimes on a gloomy Cleveland day, you need it. And yes, right now is actually typically when I usually eat lunch, and I'm in between training sessions. So this is kind of like the downtime, usually the hour between training sessions and coaching. So we try to get out of the gym a little bit.
What is the go-to coffee drink?
Hazelnut coffee, not sponsored by Panera, but we're drinking hazelnut coffee today.
Yeah, you
I
and
love my
Kat.
coffee. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
hazelnut's my go-to. I actually used my last, and I'm just like a K-cup kind of girl. I don't get
Yeah.
fancy, but I am out. Today's my last hazelnut, so I have to go to the store at some point and get some more for tomorrow.
No, I'm definitely like I could say I drink coffee every day. Not because I need the caffeine. I would consider myself a pretty like energetic person, but I just love the taste of it. Except I feel like I have this extremely high caffeine tolerance that it does my body no good. I don't feel it. I just enjoy drinking coffee.
Yeah,
Makes
we
my heart feel good.
I never drank coffee until I went to the Mayhem Classic.
Mm.
And I was so tired that
Okay.
weekend that I chugged so much Good Dudes that I became addicted, and now I drink coffee every day.
Oh my God. You were at Mayhem Classic, huh? I don't
I
think we
was.
met. I don't think we met there, Scott. I think that was my first time. Like, what was that? That was 20. Wow, that was 2020.
It's actually where
Hmm.
Kat and I met.
That was a.
Yeah.
And is that
Well,
where you
you
guys
and
are?
I met.
Cat?
I think
Yeah.
you and I met at the airport in Philly on your way there. I think
Yep.
you were on your way to something. It may not have been the Mayhem
What
Classic,
was
but it was definitely something.
it? It was
And
definitely a competition.
I had met, and that's when we sort of talked. We were both waiting
Hmm.
for the flight and chit chatting. But I also like first laid eyes on you at the Winter Classic in
Yes,
December
Rogue.
of that year.
Yep.
So
It was the in here in Cleveland. We had that at downtown Cleveland. Scott had programmed that event. You're
right,
right. Look at that. And look at
because
us. Look at where we are
who
now.
was there? I think Saxon was in Dubai, but Spencer and
Did
Scott were
Saxon go?
there,
Oh, I
or
didn't
maybe
know that.
Spencer
I
was in
thought
Dubai.
I
Spence
think
was
it's
in
Spencer was in
flipped.
Dubai.
Dubai.
Yep.
Spencer was in Dubai. Saxon was there. Saxon and I played DJ the whole weekend because we didn't have a DJ for the event, and so I had my Spotify playlist playing, and then we needed something a little more PG, and Saxon offered up his
A clean
playlist, so that's
playlist.
how we became friends. Yeah, I
And
was
then
supposed to
just
be
to,
judging,
I
but
love it.
somehow I never judged the whole weekend.
and then to take this full circle, we were at Cliffside that morning, Amy and I,
Yeah.
working out with Saxon, and it
Yep.
was our 6th ever episode of this podcast.
No
Crazy.
kidding. Oh my God. And
Yeah.
then Amy, is that how you guys met too?
No, Scott and I've known each other for a long time, and
All right.
then yeah, we started. Our kids were in the same school together, and then we kind of got hooked up in the CrossFit world together. So
I love it. Wow,
yeah,
small world.
I know
You guys are
Yeah.
gonna have to visit Mentality at some point.
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been
Wait for
trying to
me.
get Scott on the
Yes.
podcast since like day one. And
He's a
we've
busy
done over
man.
300
He
episodes
is
now.
busy.
You gotta get him on a good time because I feel like he's always doing business. Like whether he's training or running his businesses or his side businesses, he is just like a super dad all the way. Actually, he's on his way to Knoxville. Speaking of Scott.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
to
heading
say
there
maybe
tomorrow.
when he retires, we could
Oh yeah,
get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But that's
which we
too
never
late.
know when that'll actually be.
Right, because I thought he was retired now, but yeah,
Yeah.
here we are.
He's still good at what he does, so
Yeah.
why stop now?
Right.
You know what I've found, Fee, is I live here in Columbus, Ohio, and the hardest people to get on our podcast are those who live in Ohio.
Yeah. Like
Why
how long
is
did it take us
that?
to get Dan Bailey
What?
on? Right?
We're still working on Dan Bailey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We've had Alex.
He's probably like right next. Just walk over to his barn.
We
Just
go
walk-
to the
just walk
same
over.
gym. We go to the same gym.
Oh my
That
God.
sounds like a personal problem, Scott.
That's a
We may
personal-
never
yes.
get him on the show.
That's right.
We've had his wife on. We can't
Yep,
get
I
him
know.
on.
Soon to be. Yeah.
No, they've married. They're married.
They're married now.
They got
Yeah.
married?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I know. I got a sense of their story. They posted it, and I love like how it was this very they had met before and then kind of re-met. And I first met Dan, I think, at Rogue Invitational a couple years ago, and he is just so funny. I guess I always knew him as Danny Broflex.
Right.
And I'm so sad that there's no more Danny Broflex. I feel like now in the heat of the season right now, I just want to see Danny Broflex, and I want to know what he's up to.
Yeah.
Maybe
we
you should
could use some
invite
comic
Danny
relief.
Broflex on the show, and he'll
Yeah,
come.
we could definitely use some comic relief at this point, Kat. You're right. Because this has been
Season
a
is
crazy,
bananas.
crazy season.
Bananas.
So where was I going with it? I don't even know where. So Fee, we've been trying to get you on too. You're only 2 hours away, and maybe tops, and
Yeah,
we finally
not
got you
far.
on. So we're so stoked for that.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys reached out because I think Cooper made the connection. Cooper Marsh, my guy.
He did. He
You
did.
did.
He's quite the guy.
Oh my gosh, he saves my life just about all the time, every time.
And Charlie, our other co-host, is piping in from afar, saying that Dan doesn't want Charlie making him look small.
That's why he hasn't been on the show yet.
That's
Makes
right.
sense.
He doesn't want to make you feel bad. That's right.
So
Dan's too nice. He's too nice of a guy.
well, and every time I see him now, like I saw him at Wadapalooza, and he just shakes his head when he sees me. Like I know.
He goes, I know, I'm so bad. We need to schedule that.
So you are an OG CrossFitter, kind of. You've been around
Ooh,
for a while, since
thank you.
2015. You started competing in 2017 on a team.
That was baby
And the
feed.
reason I know that is, according to our friend Mitch, he was trying to go team with you that year. No, it was next year.
Was
It was
he?
2018. He was trying to go team with you, and you did so well in the open that you went individual. And then the team
Is that
went
a story?
way down the leaderboard. Now it's
That's a
it's
story
his
that
story.
Mitch tells.
It's
Right. You got to consider
Is
the
that a
source.
Mitch story? I didn't know he
Very
was trying
much
to
a
go
Mitch
team.
story, but he's been telling me for years he's going to make it. Well, I'm going to make it to regionals if I just start fitnessing and lose 40 pounds every year.
Bless his heart. Mitch, okay, I'll say this. I just remember in 2017, so 2017 was the first year that I competed as a team, like on a team. And that's when Kristen Panchuk, Scott's wife, was on that team. One of our good friends, Beth Ann Lazaro, on that team. Spencer, one of our other members, Mike Neitzel, and then myself. And this is like the first year Mentality had ever sent a team. They were still pretty new, just even being a business. And I remember Mitch would come in and he would train with us and he would just go hard, like everything. He would just redline. He would just go ham. He was so into his, like, losing some weight and just gaining some fitness. And Mitch is one of those guys. He's like all in or nothing at all. I didn't know he was trying to go team though. That's news to me. That's a news story. I'm about to text Mitch after this. And I was like, hey,
is
you
the
still in
best.
on team?
Already the best.
I'm putting it on
best
blast.
podcast ever.
We get two stories here. But no, yes, that was my first year as a team member. And that was like, how old was I? I think 20? I think I was 20. 20 or 20, maybe 22. So long ago, right? Long. I'm 27 now. Isn't that crazy?
So my other question for you is, I read this and I need to confirm, but it said that you actually started CrossFit because you were overweight and intimidated by things. So that's why you jumped into CrossFit?
Yeah. So, I guess when I started CrossFit, I didn't I didn't look at, these YouTube videos and was like, oh, I totally want to compete and be, a competitor. I actually started because I was with a guy at the time, my first boyfriend ever, now ex-boyfriend, but that was a while ago. We were just like he was helping me out when it came to, fitness, and we would do workouts at Lifetime Fitness. And at the time I was, I had gained a lot of weight from like going from high school to college. And I must have gained like 25 pounds over that period of time. I was never really all that healthy in high school. I developed some poor eating habits. I was as skinny as 105 and then had some really bad eating habits. I wasn't eating enough. I was involved in some sports that I wanted to be small for, like track and volleyball, and then went the other direction where I gained all this weight. So I was kind of like in this space of just not being healthy with myself, mentally, physically, emotionally. So he introduced me to CrossFit. It was like, hey, check this out. It's super fun. It's not boring going to a typical gym where you just hop on a treadmill. And he showed me some videos and I was like, I am so interested in this. So we just ended up finding an affiliate close to home. It was probably like at the time 5 minutes away from my house, and I just checked it out, joined, and I think like my first workout was like burpees, box jumps, and sit-ups. Like super plain. And I did it and I was like, I love it. Like I'm totally so that was my first time. And I did it because I just needed to be healthy and I needed to have fun. Like I needed to have fun doing things good for myself.
That's great. And I love, I watched a podcast with you and you talked about how anybody can do this, that you just have to want to, and because you had no real background in the elements of CrossFit coming in. You had played some sports, but no real gymnastics or lifting or anything like that. And just through hard work and putting in the time, you've become one of the best CrossFitters in the world.
Thank you for that. And that's really, I love talking about my story just because I think a lot of people think, at least in the sport, right, to be a great athlete in the sport, you have to come from somewhere elite. And it's cool to be able to, yes, it is awesome. And I respect, the athletes that do come from elite backgrounds and are able to kind of transition pretty naturally, not easily, but, they have that experience to help them or that foundation to help them. And I think a lot of, young girls and young men think like you have to have all this experience to be great, or you have to be fit to do CrossFit. Also in that sense, not even sports related, but I hear that a lot. Like I need to get fit before I even walk into an affiliate, or I have to get my fitness right. And Scott said it really good, at least Panchek, he told me, he was like, he heard it from someone, I think it was maybe Jason Kalipa or someone, that saying you have to be fit for CrossFit is saying that you have to get right with God before going to church, right? All you have to do is just start. And as long as you start with a good community and you have good coaches and leaders and you learn and you're just willing to be coached and you're willing to learn, that's all you need, at least in this sport. Very minimal talent is required because I wouldn't consider myself talented by no means.
I might disagree a bit, but what I'll say, the other thing that kind of piggybacks on this is you talked about being an example for your culture and for girls and they can do this. And I'd like you to expand on that because in the podcast you didn't dive into that very much, but I wanted to hear more about that. Yeah.
So one of the most powerful things I think is having the opportunity to represent who you are, who I am, like my roots, right? I'm Mexican and I'm Iranian, and yes, I represent America because I'm born here in the States. But if you see the field of athletes, there's not a lot of representation of, Latinas or Iranian women. Unfortunately, in the Middle Eastern side, there's not as much opportunity to be able to have that representation or to be able to have this level of coaching and train and elite training as I have, the ability to here. And one of the most powerful things is getting messages from women that are of my background and culture, just the outpour of love love and support. And it's almost like when I compete for them. And when I compete, I get to show that even us women of these backgrounds do have power and strength and resilience, and we can do hard things. And it's really cool to be, and I honor that so much. And it's so powerful to be able to be representing my country, but also my true ethnicity.
Yeah, so what was it like growing up in a house? I'm assuming mom or dad was one and mom and dad the other. How did that work out? And what was it like growing up with those two, the combination of the two?
Yeah, my mom and dad are so different. The cultures are so different. My mom is Mexican, and she's from Guadalajara, Jalisco, in Mexico, and my dad is from Iran. His parents are from Tehran, and they traveled over to the States and had him and his siblings. And my dad comes from a culture of it's very strict, very much, school is held to the highest standard. My dad also comes from a family of physicians and medicine and just healthcare. And that's almost like kind of, I want to say, there was some pressure to also be that and become that, because that's everything that my dad is from. And he was also very much into music. So music and medicine and education are just so important. As opposed to my mom, which is, is a little bit, it's still family oriented, but is not as strict as his side of things. So there was kind of like, a big part of my childhood was doing things because my dad wanted me to, or it was kind of through him what he wanted me to pursue things that maybe I didn't necessarily want to. And then my mom was more like, just let her do what she loves. If she loves sports, let her do sports. So there was kind of a little bit of this back and forth. And that's probably why I don't have as much experience in sports as I wished, because my entire pretty much childhood was more about playing the violin. I actually played the violin for 14 years. I started when I was 4, and I played it all up until I was 18. And every single weekend from the time I was 4 to 18, it was music lessons, music theory, orchestra, chamber group, and that was pretty much the time that kids would do sports. And I really didn't have that in my childhood.
So my
It's
first question,
interesting.
go ahead, Kat.
I was just going to say, it's interesting to hear that about your dad, because your dad is a fiend when it comes to cheering you on in person.
He is the best.
He's simply come around with the sports thing, because he couldn't be more proud of you.
Yes.
Seeing him on the floor, like he'll push people out of the way to get, to root you on. He is a riot.
I've heard, what I recently found out, especially this past Wadapalooza, that he was like, I was getting ready to do an event. I forget which one, maybe one of the lifting events. And I remember he was like getting up front, and someone had, I think it was Daniel Brandon was there, Cooper, a couple others, and someone was like, oh, move out of the way, they're coming through. And my dad was like, no, I'm staying here. My daughter's about to go. And sure enough, Cooper knew, Danielle and Cooper knew, that's my dad. And they were like, no, he's staying. I just recently realized that he'll force himself in and make his way. But no, he is the biggest supporter. He truly is. But there's still that so when are you done with this?
When are you going to medical school?
Are we done yet? Yeah, right. Are you done yet? How many more years do you want to be in it? When are you going back to school? And that's still a conversation.
Okay.
So I love how you went through both accents when talking about both sides of your culture. Beautiful Spanish or Mexican Spanish accent, and then the Iranian. Do you speak either language or both? And how do you go through the accents so quickly?
Yes, no, I grew up speaking Spanish, Espanol, as my first language, because my mom and my dad speak it fluently. I never learned Farsi because my dad actually doesn't speak Farsi fluently. He was never taught when he was little, actually, because his parents, my grandparents, they came from Iran, and they needed to learn English. They needed jobs, they needed their careers, they needed to live here in the States, and they just couldn't, manage both. And if anything, at the time when they moved, the relationship with Iran, wasn't great at all. You know, Iranians weren't the people that you wanted to be friends with or recognized with. So he never learned Farsi is the language. But my name, Firuze Saghafi, is Iranian, 100%. So I do get messages in Farsi, and I feel so bad, like not knowing the language, because that's who I am, right? But no, Spanish is my first language, and it's, I think anyone that speaks a different language, when you shift from English to your language, it's nothing that you think about. It's just, you know, it's just this automatic thing. Um, yeah, ever since I was little, we speak Spanish at home and with my family.
That's so cool. Um,
So I want to ask, what's going on here? What are you wearing?
Oh my gosh, so a little bit of wrist inflammation has gone down. So I at Wadapalooza, people were asking me like, "Fee, what's all this tape on your wrist? It looks so cool." I was like, "It's not cool." I ended up straining my wrist earlier this year and doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing on injured wrists, and sure enough, that turned into a little bit of just some inflammation and injury. And for a while, I couldn't lift a barbell over my head. Like I couldn't get my wrist into flexion. And just about a week out from Wadapalooza, I was probably crying. I was crying in Whole Foods. Vividly remember not being able to like pick up a fork without pain, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to compete. And it was a big deal because it's the first off-season competition. Anytime you get a chance to compete off-season, you want to know kind of where you're at, where your training's been going, if you're kind of heading in the right direction. So it was kind of a big deal for me. And a week later, we competed. But yeah, I've just been dealing with some pain, but I've been rehabbing it, feeling so good. I'm able to go back to weights that I haven't been able to do without pain in a really long time. And my team has been amazing. My chiropractor at Co-Chiro, physical therapy, my Mike Pavlik, Nicole Torres, which is Matt Torres' sister. She's a physical therapist. So we've just been doing all of this work.
All
So
the things.
this is just to protect my wrist at this point. At this point, like we got to keep it as healthy as we can by Granite Games.
For sure.
so you mentioned the violin playing and all of that time doing that. Did that burn you out on music, or is music still an important part of your life?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I would say it definitely kind of music's such a beautiful like it's so beautiful. I mean, I love listening to music, connecting with music. I mean, the ability to play music is such a skill that not everyone gets to develop when they're younger or just in their life. But I do think that just doing it so much when we were little, I just remember like to be a 4-year-old and 5-year-old and to spend 8 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, like just doing music lessons where it's like you just want to have fun, you just want to play, maybe play a little bit, but then you want to go outside and play with your friends. I don't play the violin anymore, actually. I have it. I've like picked it up every now and then, but I don't play it. And it's kind of one of those things where it's there, like, and my ability to play is there, but I don't play it as much because I think part of me was just like, you know what, I'm done. That it felt like a career, and I was not about feeling like the violin was my career.
So you brought up Matt Torres,
Mm,
and with the alleged retirement of Scott, you had to find like a new home, kind of,
yeah.
and so you joined the Brute team.
hmm
What has that been like so far this season?
So I've been to Naples a couple times now, especially with the shift in coaching, but it's been an adjustment. It's been an adjustment with Matt. I definitely needed a different style of coaching, specific programming for me, and we completely shifted the season, at least when it came to developing this year, into hypertrophy, building mass, building muscle, building strength, which is like obviously my stats reflected that my worst events are my strength events. And if you don't work on your strength, it is not going to be there. Um, as much fitness as we do and training as we do, if the strength isn't worked on, it's just gonna keep you out at some point, and that's exactly what happened last year. So it's been incredible. I love being coached. It's like anyone that knows me, no matter what, who you are, I love feedback from anyone, whether it's Scott or Matt or just like, friends watching me train. I'm always like, what you see there? Like, can you coach me? So it's been incredible, and he's gotten to know me really, really well this past year. I'm always texting him, messaging him, but it's been an adjustment to say the least.
And he's one of the nicest guys ever. Every
Oh,
time
yeah.
I run into him, he's so cool. But so you get the best of both worlds. You're still working out at Mentality. You're doing it remote, and so you get Scott there when he isn't retired, and then you have Matt by text or going down to Naples and hanging out with him. So you get a little bit of both, the veteran and Matt.
I'm very
Does that
lucky.
help?
It helps so much. It's right now Scott is, we're on different training programs. We have different goals, at least from what I know, but we're at different places in our life, right? He's a dad. He has a little girl. He has businesses. His job isn't to win the CrossFit Games, right? So his focus is way different versus mine is continuing to, qualify and be the best I could be as an athlete and a representation of who I, work for, and to get back and to win as much as I can, and to not just get back to the CrossFit Games, but like truly like make a statement for myself. So right now we don't train together. That's the biggest difference. From other years, we don't train together, but I do have that mentorship and that guidance. And, Scott truly, truly knows me, I think, better than I know myself. I like say it all the time. And he's really able to just guide me and support me and calm me down when I'm maybe doubting myself and having, everyone has those days too. So it's really cool to, no matter what, he's always in my corner.
How close have you become with the Pancheks?
I'm super close with Scott. Like, I see Scott as just my big brother. He's obviously my boss. I coach at Mentality, but he's not just a training partner, but a mentor and a brother. And I feel like I could just I'll take a bullet for him any day. Like, he's seen me at my worst, at my best. We've been able to do, competitions together, which is the greatest thing, to be able to do that with, someone that you consider such a big part of your life. I went through my rookie season with him. We did Rogue Invitational together. We traveled to Italy together. We did, my rookie year at the games together. He, at Wadapalooza, he's always checking in between events. So it's incredible. It's absolutely the best thing. His brothers are at a different point in their life. We're not as close because I don't see them or train with them really. So I've built my relationship more so with Scott.
Yeah. I was speaking more of are you Aunt Fee now, or?
Yes, I hope to be, because Kinsley, I want, every time she comes in, I'm just I can't focus, because now it's about Kinsley. I want them to have, I want them to have 10 children, and I want to be aunts to all of them. She's the cutest thing in the world.
That is awesome.
Also, if anyone, I would love to if there's a chance for shout out to some content creator, get a little behind the scenes of their crazy life. It is wild. They are just, Kristen and Scott are all over the place. I mean, managing Kinsley, and they literally swap Kinsley between coaching and things going on at the gym and training. And then when Scott's training, he swaps Kinsley with Kristen, and then when Kristen needs to train, she needs to swap. So it's a wild life for them, but they're doing it.
So when you go down to Naples and there's all these young kids down there, and you're kind of the veteran now, is that a weird perspective for you?
Is it weird? No. Not at all. I think part of it is because, first of all, I don't feel like a veteran because I've been in it, but I haven't been at the games as long as I, have hoped at this point in my career. But I feel like I'm just one of them. I don't feel, first of all, I don't feel as old as some might consider me. I'm 27, but I probably still feel like I'm 20. I have the same energy. It's cool to have the same energy as them, like the same excitement and fire. And what they have that helps me, though, is just, fresh energy. Like they still have that almost like rookie energy where when you're a rookie, you have nothing to lose, right? You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. You haven't been in it for a long, long time. But also they're just different athletes like Emma and Dallin and James and Phil. They're just all different. So it's cool to feed off of them when I'm training with them.
Yeah, quite the crew there. Quite the
Mm-hmm.
crew. Who talks more, you or James?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Me? I feel that's a very close call. I feel like I could have a conversation with a brick wall.
I we had James on once,
I
and
feel like
we
we've
couldn't
seen
get him to
James
stop.
have a conversation with a brick wall. So
The thing about James is, so we're both very energetic people and we both love chatting, and we could chat ears off all the time. But the thing with James is like his energy, I think, is like 5 notches higher than mine. So it is like he's always positive. He's always like, yeah, that's amazing. Keep it up. And you could be just in the pain cave, and sometimes when you just want to hurt or you kind of just like want to be in your own space, like he'll come and like cheer you on with rainbows and butterflies and sunshine.
So would you consider yourself more of an extrovert then?
Oh yeah. I
Okay.
don't think I've always been. I don't think I've always been an extrovert though. But definitely now I am. I think I just love doing what I do and being around good people. And I think sometimes when you're very passionate with something, you get caught up talking a lot. And that's what I do on every podcast. I just chat all the
For
time.
sure. When you're doing what you're passionate about, you have more energy to do that, and you want to share that with like-minded people. That makes sense.
That's right. I agree.
So speaking of which, you always have this energy, you always have a smile, and which is what I love about you.
Oh,
Last year at the MACC was the one time when Kat and I would see you backstage, and I'm talking for me, your head was down on the table, you were not feeling well, and you were like gritting through the weekend.
yeah. Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
bad weekend.
So, and you finished 7th, just outside of the game spot. You finished the last chance qualifier in 7th. How do we change that number so it's like a 4 or a 3?
Yeah. I think one is those. I was very sick at the MAC, but still, this year I'm obviously healthy. Hopefully, to be healthy is number one, as healthy as I could be. Number two would be to have more confidence when it comes to the strength events and those power output events, and maybe the events that I don't, or I guess I don't have a history of, coming out on top. But just have it and like just going for things more would be what I need to do. And that's exactly my goal. Like however Granite Games pans out, there's only so much I could control. But my goal going into Granite Games is to take more risks, do things that, maybe are a little bit scary, whether it's tapping into certain intensities and just being okay with like being in that hurt locker a little bit longer, and just trusting myself in what I could do.
Well, and I said that to say you never made an excuse the whole weekend about being sick. To the
Mm.
public, you came out
Yeah.
smiling, waving, doing everything. Backstage, we saw it was a rough
Yeah.
weekend for you.
Mhm. Yeah, it was hard to like. I've never actually experienced anything like that. I was throwing up, quite like literally I think I lost about 5 pounds that weekend because I didn't eat a solid piece of food until Sunday. I had like pizza, and it was like the best tasting pizza I've ever eaten. But in the back, I had actually, this is Scott chatted with me, and he was just helping me just be in a good mental space, and the team around me and everyone that came that weekend was incredible. And we just had to, at that point, recognize, okay, this is the reality of it, but we have to know that the training is there. So just trust your training. Don't think about anything else. Trust your training. The work is in there. The capacity is there. And that's all I could do.
The other thing that happened that weekend is CrossFit made a move that brought Tia into your semifinal.
Yeah.
This year, the same thing happened to you again. I've been preaching on our roundtable discussion that you and Amanda Barnhart are the two people that have kind of got stuck 2 years in a row now. And you don't have to answer this question, but do you have any feelings about that?
Yeah, I mean, I do, but like, to say, was I upset that Tia was at the MACC? No, absolutely not. Like, I think other people that were chatting with me were like, Fee, are you nervous? Like, are you like, no, like, bring them. Like, when I compete, I only want to compete against the best girls. I don't want to compete in an easy semi that, automatically gets me in. Like, no question about it. Like, I guess I don't see it like that. I don't want to. Some girls want that just because that's their into the CrossFit Games. But if I'm going to earn my way to the CrossFit Games, I better earn it. I'm not trying to just get lucky at a semifinal or hope, that the girls are a little bit, less qualified. I don't know, And then I guess with Mal O'Brien switching, love it. Like, I love that she got placed at Granite Games. Do I love other things that happen behind the scenes? Considering her situation and then other situations going on. I don't agree with, that process of, replacing the highest seed with the last seed situation,
Right.
which happened. Certain people that needed to be reseeded because they couldn't go to Canada. They didn't have the ability to enter the country, whether it was their passport or vaccine, and not being allowed to get reseeded. That's a whole nother thing. So there's so many other things that I have opinions on, but Mal coming to Granite Games, I love it. Like, I absolutely want her there, and I want all the best girls there. And I want to earn my way to the CrossFit Games. I don't want an easy semi.
Yeah, I think maybe from a fan's perspective, our Ohio girls seem to be getting the shaft, and we as fans are like, come on. Like, why is it always going to be Fee and Amanda?
It's hard in the sense where it's like, this is our career, like my career, and the expectations that you start, that people set for you, but the expectations that I have for myself are to qualify for the games. Like, that is, like, I see that as, like, that is my career, like, that is my job, like, that is like the pinnacle of what I do. Like, I'm not in training like just for participation, so it is my career. So on one end of the stick, like, to be overloaded with incredible girls, where it does, make it that much harder to make it to the games versus others. Like, it takes away the ability to, like, earn my way there fairly. And if you're going to stack the Granite Games as much as it is, incredible girls there, I'm so excited to be competing there, you better stack the other semifinals just as evenly. So no matter what, everyone that makes it to the games made it on the same playing field.
So speaking of Granite Games, and we'll get rid of that conversation, it's the one outdoor event. It's in a beautiful facility. Are you excited about that opportunity?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm excited because I've never competed every single event in a stadium. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never, it's the Viking Stadium, and I've heard that, the heat is going to be a factor. There's certain things that are going to play into that, but I'm pumped. I always get excited when I get to do things I've never done before, so it should be good.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as hot as last year. I don't think Minnesota ever got as hot as it was last year.
I just heard that, people were dropping like flies, like the heat was just unbearable. And shoot, if I'm expecting it to be that hot though, like, that's like, I'm expecting to be as prepared as I can, and the only way to do it is to expect the worst, right? Because if you expect the worst, then anything less than that is just like icing on the cake.
So as media, we were actually stationed up in the press box.
Mhm.
And then to go down and watch the event, you had to go down all the steps of the stadium, across the field to go watch it, and then all the way back up. We had our own wads basically
Oh my
throughout the
gosh.
day in that 95-degree heat.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's a little
And it
bit
gets hotter
cooler.
as you go down, right?
Yeah. Oh, the field temperature was like 130, I think they said.
That's
It was
wild.
insane.
Scott, you just
Yeah.
compared how hard it was to be on the media team compared to
Yeah, I was
an
being
elite
facetious
athlete
about that.
who was
Same thing.
like
Almost the
all
same thing.
stairs.
I was being
In the air,
facetious.
we had to go from the air conditioning to the elements.
Thanks
you
so
know.
much
Yeah.
for calling him out,
So rough.
Kat. I really appreciate that.
Right?
That's important.
I did that on purpose. I was
When
making
I'm
mockery
competing
of what
at
we
the
had to go
Granite
through.
Games, I'm just gonna think Scott has it hard too. So
Right.
And you know what? You said it earlier, but I'm wearing a shirt that proves it. Let's see.
let's see it.
Oh,
Says
We could all do
together.
hard things.
together we can do hard
That's
things.
right.
Yep. That's Amy's mantra. I love
Yeah,
it.
when you're in that dark space and you're struggling, just think I have to go back up those stairs.
Just think of Amy's shirt.
Yep, that's right.
And now we have Andrew Sten commenting, how about the judges? And I do have to give a shout out. They put them in black shirts last year, which was the dumbest
No.
move ever.
Granite Games, come on. Black. Like a light blue, something. Help them out. They're pouring their lives over there.
So just think the judges in a black shirt suffering with you as
Yeah,
you're out
right.
there on the field.
Hey,
Their
we're all
hands
su-
up in the air.
We're all suffering together.
Their poor knees
No.
on the field. My knees are hurting.
I make it a point. We got to shout out to judges because they are the best ever. Like to voluntarily invest in the athletes in these events, and like athletes watching this, respect your judges, thank them, shake their hand, introduce them yourselves. Like they are truly like really incredible, and I just have so much respect for judges that take their time to do what they do.
Yeah, Kat and I used to be judges. Now we're on the media side because
Yeah,
we
there's
can't
a
handle the heat in black shirts.
There's a good core group of judges now that are, all hang out together and do things, and they're cool kids. So
I love seeing them. Or I love seeing like you guys get pretty wild after semifinals, the CrossFit Games, after an event. You guys go out and
there's
celebrate.
a lot of celebration. Yes, for sure.
I love it every time. Don't stop.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was
It's
last
funny.
year. Oh, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Kat.
No, go ahead.
Last year in Knoxville, that little town square was full of athletes and volunteers
Judges.
fighting for good food.
Oh
after
yeah.
the semifinals.
We just saw each other out like that strip. I think it was close to the arena that we were in at the MACC, and we just saw everyone, whether it was like out at the bar eating pizza. We're like, hey, good job this weekend. Thanks for judging me. Good. Are you guys all going to Granite Games?
I'm not.
Just me, I think.
Just Scott this year.
Holding it down. Anyone else going to any semifinals?
Syndicate. I'm going to Syndicate with Scott. Scott will be at MACC, and then he's going to Granite. So.
Yeah, I'm doing all 3 U.S. ones.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have a brand new affiliate, and I'm the only coach, so it's really hard to get away for any period of time.
You did tell me when I met you, Kat, you were just opening that too.
Yeah, well, and then COVID hit, so I didn't open it.
And then COVID. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I remember chatting about that.
End of January. We're live.
After COVID, we ended up at the gym. We ended up getting an influx of members. Like it's incredible to see. At first, like we had put things on pause, but like after COVID, either there was like 2 ends of the spectrum. Either you stay at home and you do your thing, or you're like, no, I am going to, hone in on my health and take ownership of that. And it's been actually incredible.
Yeah, it's been good. A lot of my new people are people that haven't done anything since COVID. Stopped when COVID hit, and now they're sort of coming back out. And then there's an interesting cohort of people that have home gyms that are doing like street parking or some other like online programming. But I have some people that they train like in their basement. And so they have a punch card here and they cherry pick workouts anytime we go overhead. They'll come into
Oh
the
my
gym and
God.
do, because they can't go overhead for, you
Right
know,
home.
for
Yeah,
stuff
because the
they're in
basement, yeah.
they're in their basement. So I have, you know, Tracy will come and she's like, well, it's push press today. So here I am. I'm like, okay,
That's so funny.
welcome back. Yeah, it's really funny.
I love that.
So CrossFit's released 2 of the workouts, so you know at least a third of what you're going to do at Granite.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Are you optimistic with what? I mean, one of them's a barbell. Time to test what you've learned this year.
With that
That's right. I know. Come on, Riz. No, we've been practicing that actually. I'm so excited. I mean, the 2 events are amazing. I love how one is very much exposes, you know, your body weight capacity and your gymnastics and your pulling capacity, and the other one is you got to lift some weights. But the one thing I'm telling myself, and I'm like really, really working on the mental side of it, is like being so confident in what I could do and not worried about, you know, who's to my left, who's to my right, and what other girls are lifting, because strength just takes time. Like, it's not like who could hurt the most on the bike. It's just your strength is what you've built it up to be this entire season. I am so confident that I'm way stronger than last year, and I've been able to prove that this past season in training. And that's kind of, like we said again, that's kind of the shift in programming that I've taken on with brute strength. But just being okay that like my best on the barbell will be my best, and I can't control another girl hitting, you know, 20 pounds heavier than me. I'm just not there yet, and that's okay. But I'm excited either way. It's a good test.
So we are jealous. You got to do something, I think 2 weeks ago now, that we've wanted to do, and that is you got to go to Power Monkey Camp.
Yes, I
It feels
did.
so bad.
And so
I'm surprised you guys haven't gone there yet all these years.
were you there as an instructor? Were you there as a participant?
Yeah,
What happened?
I was there. I was actually invited there as one of the CrossFit athletes, one of the invited athletes, and it was myself. Margot was also there. Alvarez, Easy, incredible guy, and you know, some other athletes as well. But mainly we were invited. But I also was representing UCAN. So UCAN is one of my they're my sponsor, the supplement sponsor, and UCAN has been around, you know, supporting a lot of recent competitions, and they were sponsoring that camp that weekend. So I was also not there as just an invited athlete, but also to be a representation of what UCAN is about and their story and their supplements, and how they've been such a big part of my training and recovery.
That's cool. So how much fun did you have?
Oh my God. You know what? I had so much fun. And the reason that I had so much fun is because I went into Power Monkey Camp thinking it was just going to be a bunch of coaching and training. And it wasn't like that at all. It was tons of coaching and instruction, and by some of the best athletes in the world. I mean, you get Olympic level athletes now coaching you, which is like, who's able to say that? That's, I mean, the most incredible thing. What an honor. And on top of that, the camaraderie and the relationships that you build. And I met people from all over the place. I met people from Spain and Brazil and Canada, and I mean, all around the country, you know, all around across the states. And it was incredible to also it's not just about training and coaching. It's about the relationships that you build, activities that are non-fitness activities too. So it was so cool. I walked away with so many great connections.
Well, one of our sponsors is RX Smart Gear, and Dave Newman, the owner and founder, he
Dave.
talks about it all the time, about how he doesn't sleep at all that week
No,
because he's too
Pretty
busy
much.
talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm so impressed with the coaches there. So coaches were, you know, Dave Durante, Dave Newman, Duke, Cheryl, so many different coaches, and they coach. So you have like 10 specialty courses that you get coached on, and each course is 2 hours. Like, you're at a station for 2 hours, and you have a little 15-minute break, and then you go on to the next station, and you get Olympic lifting and mobility, Chad Vaughn, gymnastics. So, and they do that same station every single day, Monday until Friday. and they interact and it was real. What I was most impressed is their energy from Monday to Friday, and all the same sessions that they had to coach was the exact same. They poured into people the exact same way they did in their first session to their last session, and it just shows how passionate they really are about, investing in the people that come there.
Do you love
So-
to coach, Fee?
I actually didn't coach that week at all. I actually was just
No, I
I was
mean
camp
at the
I was
affiliate.
camper. Oh, at CrossFit Mentality, yes,
Yeah.
I coach.
Because
I love.
you speak about it like you love it. You just observing that in other people is sort of a reflection of yourself, I feel like. And I think it would be really cool to take one of your classes, because I'm sure your energy sort of comes through. But how many classes are you coaching in a week?
Right now, with semifinals being around the corner, I only coach about maybe 6 classes a week, for right now. But typically, coaches are pretty consistent. When I'm out of season, I take on more coaching, more personal training, more clients on off days. So typically that kind of changes throughout how busy the season gets, or as I'm kind of winding down to travel and compete. So anywhere between, 6 for right now, 1 to 2 a day. And then I love taking on and working with people individually as well.
Mm-hmm.
Our co-host Charlie has chimed in. Are you still doing nutrition with Mike?
Yes, Mike Malloy. Oh my gosh. I've been actually working with Mike since 2019. So M2 Performance has pretty much been in my corner since 2019. And that was actually after my rookie year at the games. And I just remember, because I was the lightest I've ever been, but with the most training I have ever done. And I felt like garbage. That's pretty much the best way to say it. And not so much mentally, but like physically, I was, about 125, 127 pounds. It's kind of wide weight in around that time. And I just felt exhausted all the time. And I couldn't lift the way that I wanted to lift, but I was able to do a lot of CrossFit. Like I was very good at just like the CrossFit things. But when it came to, strength, I just couldn't develop it. So I reached out to Mike and I was like, Mike, like, help me. Like, these are my goals and this is where I want to go in the sport. I just need help. Like, it wasn't a matter of eating healthy, not healthy. It was just knowing what would be a good nutrition lifestyle for me. And he's been in my corner since 2019.
Yeah, we had him on the show, probably a year ago now. It was right before the games last year. And he's one of the smartest, nicest guys
smart.
we've ever had on. He's so cool. My last question for you.
If you follow his Instagram too, like he throws out information that like will make you want to like take a second look at your nutrition. He's like, maybe I should incorporate certain things or not. So he is extremely wise. Yeah.
Yeah. My last question for you is life after your career. So I know you're super smart. You have a master's degree in business. You have a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and they're at John Carroll University, which is a no joke college here in Ohio.
Yes.
And so you're not dumb in any stretch of the means. Or what does post career look like?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that question, because I was chatting about this with someone on an airplane, and my big, scary, crazy, maybe future goal. I love coaching. I love teaching people how to move. I love teaching people how to live healthy lifestyles, not just through movement, but pursuing nutrition is definitely a goal up there. But I kind of have this future goal of almost creating like a fitness, health, and wellness consulting business for businesses and schools and, people, in their work life. It's one of the biggest things that I started to realize is people don't have that guidance necessarily in their own personal lives and professional lives. So that would be a really cool career shift in creating a business that offers almost like fitness, consulting and opportunities to be able to come into businesses and teach people throughout the workday, like how to lead and move and build healthy lifestyle habits and, how to eat well, how to move healthy, and how to pursue that in a more professional setting and not feel like you have to go to the gym to be able to do that. So that's kind of it's in there. It's like my idea of future, what I would love to be involved in. But I think it all stems back to being part of someone's journey and helping them the way that people have helped me in my life.
Well, that was
Love
my
it.
last question. Kat,
That was awesome.
Amy, you got anything
Yeah.
to throw in?
I was just going to say, I actually do that corporate health and wellness for a small group of people. So we should hook up at some
Oh
point
my
and
God.
talk about that. Yeah.
That
It's a
is
cool
that is
opportunity.
a goal. That is in there, and I would love that. I would love to chat with you about
You'd be
that.
good at it. You'd be good at it for sure.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to you. I'm so excited to watch you this season, and wishing you the best.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so excited. We have 2 weeks, 2 more weeks.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Oh, it's
gonna be
gonna come
great.
so fast. Thanks, you
Well,
guys.
thank you so much, Fee, for jumping on. This has been awesome. I love having conversations, and that's just what you do. And it made this podcast so much fun.
Yeah,
Thank
come
you.
back.
Hopefully, I didn't talk too. I talked way too much.
No, you're good.
No. We have to have you back again because
Thank you.
this was so much fun.
Thanks, you guys. I love the questions, and I love sharing my story, which is really what is the biggest thing that I love. So I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.